Good. All right. So how we doing? This is just my attempt to kind of. Okay, what's up? My name's Tone. That's a good place to start. Yeah. So this is if you're joining me, thank you for joining. If you like what you listening to, and you want to hear more of my perspective, and you feel like it's a guiding tool for you, just go ahead and press like and subscribe, and tell me what you want to hear more about, because I feel like it's really how I get serviced in my pursuit of like success or well-being is by serving y'all. And the more I get better at that, the better off I am, whether it's like through my own purpose or through the monetary. It's all gonna help me in the end. So let me know how I can help you see the bigger picture of things, and let's get to it. So I wanted to talk today about emotional stability as a man, right? Because I think like it's something that's like oftentimes overlooked in terms of like what we understand about emotional stability, right? Like I think I'm someone who believes in Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, like any if you're looking through these types of channels, you've probably heard about Stoicism, and if you haven't, Stoicism is a practice based off of the writings of that come from meditations, which is a series of like thoughts put together by Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor of Rome. I forgot when exactly, so that's some good homework for you to go look up and tell me when, whatever. But basically, the principle of Stoicism, from my vantage point, and feel free to add context or correct me if I'm wrong, is like taking good with the bad and accepting that things are what they are, right? So like, rather than being like swayed by the emotions of a situation, or maybe looking at something with, I wouldn't say optimism, because I don't think Stoicism is like not optimism per se, but it isn't like endearing yourself to like the most happy or most negative outcome. It's just kind of looking at things from a very balanced perspective and accepting things to be as they are. But let me look it up so I can say that, because I don't like just saying things and not being right. So what's Stoicism, the definition? So it's a philosophy that teaches that people can develop self-control and overcome destructive emotions to achieve a more virtuous life, right? So that's kind of what I meant, but I think like there's a nuance to Stoicism that some people overlook or may not like include in it. People are often saying don't show your emotions. I think it's perfectly fine to show your emotions in the right context, but I think what a lot of young men fall into the trap of is either like being so set on not showing their emotions that they don't like address their emotions, or they lack the self-awareness of how they're like showing their emotions off to the different people in different situations. So you got people who they swear they're not angry, but they punching walls and shit, and they cussing people out, and maybe they putting their hands on people, right? Like that's something that people who lack emotional awareness and stability might get themselves caught up in. You got other people who they can't help but crash out. They can't help but show anger, or maybe they shut down emotionally. You know what I'm saying? So like very extremes in terms of like their reaction to whatever the situation might be. And there's some people who exclusively use emotions to manipulate, right? They only use emotions as a tool to get a desired outcome, right? Like that's the spectrum for most men of emotions, I think, from what I observe. And that could be wrong, because I don't know every man, but in a lot of situations, that's usually how most men encounter their emotions. And so what I propose is living in a reality where, yes, I have emotions, and yes, sometimes I use them to either express myself or to control a situation or to just, release, but also recognizing that there's a time and place for emotions to be utilized. And I think where that's most important is the realm of dating, right? Now, a lot of men understand this kind of real easily, right? But those of us who are neurodivergent, whether that be ADHD or autism or any of the other like types of cluster B, cluster A, any type of like, whether it's neurodivergent or personality disorders or whatever, executive function disorders, we might see things a little differently. We might attach to emotions a little bit differently. So a person like myself take things very literally. That's what I used to take things very literally for a long time. Not like in a like dumb or I didn't understand things way, but just that like while I would observe actions very well, I couldn't see past like people's words because, you know, I'm a very authentic, straight to the point person. So my nature was to assume that other people were like that. And as I got older, I realized that people aren't really like that. A lot of people will say whatever they feel is necessary, or whatever is allowed to get a perceived outcome. And I won't say that's fine, but that's just the kind of the way of the world. So you have to learn how to navigate those things, right? And so in the context of women and dating, I think it's very easy to get confused or misconstrue what it means when somebody is showing you one thing or doing one thing and meaning another thing, right? And I think specifically for neurodivergent young men and young men in general, it can be very difficult and challenging to know that, okay, I was gonna say something different, and I'm not gonna say it like this because I just feel like it's gonna sound bad that way, but positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement versus like something, I forgot, it's reinforcement versus, so like there's reinforcement and like punishment, right? Like, and so like when you're trying to reinforce something, right, like a positive reinforcement doesn't necessarily lead to a positive outcome, right? So like, for example, me showing up every time for a girl who says she needs help doesn't necessarily end a positive outcome. Now that doesn't mean, like, there's some dudes who they show up every time and that works for them to get in that relationship, right? But you have to understand fundamentally what the person who you're trying to get with this position is, right? There's some people who, like, they operate at face value. They just want what they want, right? And so you don't have to do too much. There's other people who and I don't think like, I think what you want your relationship to be is what you look for in a partner, right? So maybe if you're looking for fun and you're just trying to get what's like a little shorty, a little bop, a little just somebody who you can fuck around with, you're gonna go with somebody who maybe goes for negative reinforcement, right? So like by taking things away, you reinforce your value with them, right? Like, so I'm not gonna give them attention. I'm not gonna think too much about what their needs are. I'm gonna give them a proposition. I might lie to them about something, but even then I'm not gonna follow up on those actions, right? Because that particular person, they're gonna say to themselves, this reinforces this negative thing, this taking away, this not showing up in this way reinforces that there's somebody who maybe I can fix, or maybe I can have more fun with, or maybe someone who is not afraid to take the actions that'll make me feel protected. If they don't care about my feelings, they don't care about anybody else's feelings, and yet they're still spending time with me. So you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not somebody who you necessarily keep around for the long term, because it means that you still gotta up the ante, right? You always gotta showcase that you don't care about this person. And so like, unless you genuinely don't care about the person and you don't want to be with that person consistently, then that's gonna be a headache, right? You're if you're not of the disposition of, yeah, all right, fuck this shit, then that's not gonna work, right? So I think it's important to know the disposition of the person. And I think the second piece, beyond knowing the person and their disposition, is also understanding and recognizing, where your emotions are in a situation, right? Like, so for example, like, if I'm a person who's talking to a young lady and she really upset with me because I forgot an important date to her, right? But I had a rough day. I had a real hard day. Everybody's been on my ass. You know, I'm just at my wit's end. It's just been a rough period of time and I'm not figuring it out, right? You might, in that situation now, maybe you're getting home, or you was on the game and now she coming in the room and she want to ask you something, right? You might get in a situation where she freaking out on you about this situation that maybe you forgot. In all honesty, you wasn't even trying to really like be an asshole or nothing like that. You just forgot because you're a human being and that's what you gonna do as a human being, right? She come in, she piss you off. She starts saying, you ain't shit, da 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 da. This why niggas ain't ever da da da. You a punk and I wish I never, and all the things I do for you and all the shit that she gonna say, because in her mind, you not shit and you deserve everything she has to say to you. That's just what the situation is at the moment, right? So let's say you in this predicament and you have one or two options. One option is to get irritated with her as well, which will reinforce in that moment he cares, he's upset, whatever. And if you do diffuse that through like overpowering her or whatever, through being angry or whatever, then that's just a precedent in your relationship. Oh, okay. When he yells, that means it's up, but that means now every time I'm gonna keep escalating it, right? Because I only know he cares when he yells at me, right? So that's one outcome, right? You piss me off, you getting on me, so now I'm getting on you. You not shit, going back and forth. We settle up. Maybe I'll sleep on the couch, but we up, right? At that point, you deteriorating a lot of your relationship, because what that's reinforcing, because this is back to reinforcement, is that when we have an argument, we yell and then we figure it out after we yell, right? But if you always yelling, that means your arguments, your times of being upset are always like, the context is always you only address things when emotions are high, right? And so if that's the only time that you ever addressing things and the only way that you allowing situations to be addressed, that's where a woman might start seeing you as weak, or start finding ways to pick at you more and more. And I don't think that conflict or disagreements have to be emotionally charged situations or conversations. And your woman or the woman that you're talking to in the situation will not be happy with the fact if you take the second option a lot of times, because by not reacting emotionally, it doesn't validate their right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what most women want to be, right? Like, everybody wants to be right. It's not a woman thing necessarily, but it's really just about being right. It's really just about like having control of the narrative. When you get angry, when you get upset, when you let that long day at work get you to the point where now you can't talk, now you can't take a second and breathe, you're validating behaviors that says, okay, like, this is because he's angry, this was the appropriate response to take to get him to care about what I want him to care about, and to punish him or make him feel upset about whatever. So the second option, which I've been alluding to, is simple. That's okay, yeah, sure, like, yeah, that's my fault. Like, how can I make that better? Right? And now some people, they disagree with me on that. And that's what's beautiful about life and beautiful about like opinions. Everybody has one and they're all different. And so like, if this is a different philosophy than what you want to take and how you see success in relationships, that's fine. I'm currently single. I live at home. So, you know, who am I, right? But let's look at it, right? Let's look at it from this perspective, right? So my girl pissed off. I'm not shit. I forgot this is important date because of human, but life be kicking my ass and nobody's been giving me a break, especially not her, and especially not right now, right? Cool. Okay, I hear you, shorty. I hear what you have to say. What do you want me to do about it in this moment? Right? Well, you should know what to do about it. Well, I clearly don't. So let me know how I can fix the situation. Otherwise, there's no point in yelling at me because you're already upset, right? Yeah, I'm upset. You know I'm upset. Why are you asking me dumb questions? Well, I'm asking you questions so I can get a better understanding of how to make you not upset. So what's next? Because we either gonna keep going or you gonna be mad. But I'm not gonna sit here and be mad with you. Right? So in that situation, that might not be what she wants to hear. And sometimes the apology has to be more sincere than that. It has to be more genuine than that, because you genuinely did fuck up. And you know she's feeling the way about the situation, and you know that a simple, hey, let's let it be, ain't gonna work, right? But I'm not talking about when you majorly fuck up. I'm talking about when you make a mistake that's important to her, but don't need to be emotional, right? And maybe an important date isn't the right situation, right? Let's say that's like, you know, if it's an anniversary or like a birthday, then yeah, you probably deserve more than that. But I'm saying, like, if you miss a date with some of her friends, or you say you're gonna get something done that you don't finish, you know, those kind of situations, I think it's important to mind your manner, mind how you feeling, mind how you're looking at a situation, because the more you sit around and say to yourself like, oh, she pissing me off and she don't know how much I do for her and she don't know this and da 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 da, the more you allow yourself to be in her sphere of control, right? Like, you making decisions off of what you think will make her happy versus off of what you think is best for the moment. And like, there are moments where you should listen to your girl, like, for sure. Like, there's moments where you should ask her to lead how y'all move forward, and like where you should defer to what she's saying, because that's what adults do in a healthy relationship, right? Relationships only work when two people agree to do what they say they're gonna do in the confines of that relationship. And I suggest if you in any relationship, you should sit down early on and say, yo, these are my expectations, so that when things go wrong, it's not that there's never room to adjust your expectations or to, you know, revisit things, but making certain things practice in your relationship so that there's a standard that y'all both are living up to. So it's not no confusion about why you there for. Because sometimes, yes, people do things and they know what they doing and they know that they not living up to what the actual conversation and the actual actions that y'all have both been putting in to it are. Like, there are people who are like, oh no, I didn't know that, but you know that they knew what they was doing. But even still, if we sit down and say to ourselves, yo, this is how we moving in this relationship, this is what I expect, you will solve a lot of your issues. And so I think I'm gonna cut this part right here. Not cut it, but I'm gonna oops shit. See, I'm gonna end this shit right here, because I think at the end of the day looking at no, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can control in terms of like every day your situation. Some people gonna want to hear what you have to say in the situation, and some people not. And it's okay to have like a situation that isn't perfect, or, you know, like have to work things out with your shorty, but it's definitely not okay to be caught up in like a whirlwind of how she's feeling. Like, if you both was mad about something, that's one thing, but if you wasn't even mad about nothing and she come into space and she started complaining to you, and now you upset, then you got to work on some things as a man. You know what I'm saying? And if you are in a space where you feel upset, if you are in a relationship where you're healthy enough to be able to say, hey, I'm gonna go over here and take my time and take my breath and just, you know, do something different, then you should take that opportunity. And if you aren't in a space where you feel comfortable and feel healthy enough and feel secure enough to say, hey, I need this space away from you while I figure out my emotions, whether it's said or unsaid, then you got to consider if you in the right situation for yourself. Because the last thing you want to do is allow yourself to be caught up in bullshit because you couldn't keep your temper. And I'm not talking about like violence or, you know, just like something off the rails. I'm just saying, like, you don't want to be mad, going to bed mad with your girl or whatever because you couldn't hold your emotions. And the last thing I say is, some of y'all might say, oh, that's not fair, like, why the girls don't gotta do this shit. You know, I don't have a good answer for that. Like, I really don't. I can't really tell you why, you know, like, it is how it is. But I will say, as a young man myself, I don't really care so much as to what's fair anymore. I care about what gives me peace of mind, and I care about what I can handle, right? And I know that in my mind, I don't have to be upset. I have control over my mind and my emotions. I don't have to be upset right now. I can just move forward and go to a different part of myself, or different part of the house, or different part of, you know, what I'm working on, what I'm focused on. And so I think the same for all of y'all. I don't think that's a me specific thing. I think anybody can do it. I just think it's a matter of committing and dedicating. So with that in mind, you know, let me know in the comments what are some ways that you allow yourself to kind of just like relax, get away, control your emotions. And like I said earlier in the video, like and subscribe, and let me know what else you want me to talk about. But until then, peace and love.